Thank you very much, my co-chairs. As we approach dinner time, I think my greatest contribution to today's session is to speed up my presentations and end it within 15 minutes. I'll do my best. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to give my greatest appreciation to the honorable organizers of the event. It is a tremendous honor for me to be part of this meaningful summit. Today, I will be using Taiwan as an example to show how we plan our pathway to net zero emissions with a focus on the energy sector. In 2021, the IEA presented a report, Net Zero by 2050, a roadmap for the global energy sector, which sets out the pathway to the global energy sector to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Net zero by 2050 hinges on an unprecedented clean technology push to 2030. The path to net zero emissions is a narrow but achievable one. Staying on it requires immediate and massive deployment of all available clean and efficient technology. The global pathway to net zero emissions by 2050, detailed in this report, requires all governments to significantly strengthen and successfully implement energy and climate policies. By 2040, the focus is to attain a zero emission power system, aiming for 70% of the energy supply from renewable sources by 2050. Industries will heavily depend on new infrastructure development, integrating CCUS, hydrogen energy, and electrolysis technology into emerging sector by 2030 onwards. Efforts in the building sector involve prohibiting the sale of a fuel boiler, advocating for heat pumping, and implementing new construction and renovations of existing buildings to adhere to net zero standards. Looking ahead to 2050, transportation will predominantly feature electric or fuel cell vehicles, while electrifying aviation and maritime transportation poses significant challenges. Following the landmark conclusion of the UAE consensus in COP28, a more ambitious blueprint for our future generation was outlined. They try to decarbonize the future generation, which sets a clear political signal that aims to embrace and reframe the ambition of all nations' 2035 NDCs. The NDC 3.0 represents a transformative shift, serving as economic transformation and national investment plan for One Earth future. In Taiwan, we also set our course toward achieving net zero emissions. President Tsai declared on April the 22nd, 2021, to set a 2050 net zero transition target, which sets the wheel in motion. On August 23rd, 2021, the Executive Yuan launched the amendment of the Greenhouse Gas Act and incorporated the goal of 2050 net zero emissions in the new Climate Change Response Act. By March 30th, 2022, Taiwan began planning its pathway to achieve net zero emissions. The Executive Yuan officially released the 12 key strategies to achieve our 2050 net zero transition goal at the end of 2022, and adopted the 12 key strategic action plans for net zero transitions on April last year. At present, how to plan a feasible 2050 net zero pathway is our main challenge. Our government aims to formulate a clear and comprehensive carbon reduction path and a green growth strategy. Transition strategies include energy transition, industrial transition, lifestyle transition, and social transition. These four transitions requires two crucial foundations, that is technology R&D and a comprehensive climate legislation. Taiwan's 12 key strategies to achieve 2050 net zero include the promotion of wind solar power, hydrogen energy, innovative energy such as geothermal and biomass, power system and energy storage, energy conservation, CCUS, electrification and decarbonization of transportation, resource circulation, carbon sink, green lifestyle, green finance, and a just transition. As we can see, almost half of these 12 key strategies relate to energy. Taiwan's annual greenhouse gas emission are around less than 300 million tons of CO2 equivalent. That contributes to almost 0.5% of the global emission. According to our updated 2030 NDC, Taiwan aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 23 to 25% compared to 2005 level, bring it closer to the reduction trends of neighboring achieving advanced Asian countries. Under our climate governance, Taiwan has made significant strides in managing the growth rate of greenhouse gas emission. This progress has been evident as emissions have gradually decoupled from economic growth rate. This chart shows Taiwan's energy mix. As we can see from the chart, 83% of our power comes from fossil fuel, and more than 90% of our fossil fuels are imported. This represents a huge challenge for an energy transition to transformation to transition from high carbon to low carbon and carbon-free sources while ensuring a stable power supply as well as energy security. According to the outcome of the COP28, achieving triple the installed capacity of renewable energy and doubling energy efficiency have become key focus for countries worldwide under the Global Decarbonization Accelerator. I'm glad to share that Taiwan has seen rapid development of renewable energy in recent years, particularly in solar, with the installed capacity in 2023 reaching 3.8 times of that in 2005. Our offshore wind power development in particular is probably the largest in Asia. As of April this year, nearly 300 offshore wind turbines were installed in the Taiwan Strait, accumulating a total capacity of 2.25 gigawatts. Enhancing energy efficiency is another crucial task. The IEA also stated that improving energy efficiency is currently the first fuel. Since the early 80s, Taiwan has introduced the Energy Management Act, which has led our industries to gradually improve their energy consuming equipment. Therefore, Taiwan won the 8th position in the International Energy Efficient Ranking in the world. As part of our comprehensive approach to climate action, we have further regulated energy efficiency improvement in the new Climate Change Response Act. It covers not only building and household appliance equipment, but also encourages nationwide behavioral change. As the previous slide mentioned, if NDC 3.0 means encouraging transformation plans, then the turning point are innovative technologies development and diffusion. We could define a green competitiveness as resulting from our low emission industries, which use advanced technology applications and are supported by green finance. Under better management from all emission scope, all value chains and industrial system will jointly move toward a low carbon manufacturing and contribute to global mitigation. For instance, we all know that TSMC dominates semiconductor production in the world. Outstandingly, under their efforts and the support from our government, each kilowatt of electricity production for the TSMC chip will help the global value chain to save 6.8 kilowatt of electricity to the world due to the energy efficiency of the chip they manufactured. That's how Taiwanese industry contribute to Scope 3 emissions to the world. Meanwhile, we also devote our R&D resources and capacity to seek opportunity for deploying geothermal, bioenergy, and marine energy. As previously mentioned, Climate legislation is one of the two foundations to support our transition. Let me just briefly introduce our key legislation, the Climate Change Response Act. This act sets out division of labor between different agencies as well as different levels of government. The act also focuses both on mitigation and adaptation. For mitigation, the Climate Change Act offered two carbon pricing instruments. One is carbon tax, we call it carbon fee, and another is emission trading system. A carbon fee will be deployed in the short term, while the cap and trade system might be introduced in the long term. Currently, we're preparing the implementing regulations for the implementation of our carbon fee. Initially, the carbon fee will impose on the manufacturing and power sector that emit more than 2,500 tons of CO2 equivalent, covering both direct and indirect emissions. This threshold will be gradually reduced. Meanwhile, to comprehensively consider all aspects of impact and stakeholders, the rate of carbon fees will be determined by a carbon fee rate review committee that is composed by different stakeholders. And the revenue from the carbon fee will be injected to the Greenhouse Gas Management Fund and will be fully earmarked to specific uses as designated in the Act, mainly mitigation, adaptation, and just transition. The Climate Change Response Act also set up a voluntary baseline credit system where carbon credit projects can be applied and reviewed before obtaining carbon credits. The authorized carbon credits can be used to offset carbon fees liability. Our government has amended or related regulations on this voluntary offset program in line with ICVCM's core carbon principles to ensure the environmental integrity and the quality of this carbon unit. In terms of adaptation, the National Climate Change Adaptation Plan was adopted by the Executive Yuan last year. And there are three main aspects in the national adaptation strategies. First, the government will develop industry risk assessment guidelines and collect necessary adaptation information. Second, we will assist our industries in identifying climate risk, including state-owned and private sectors. Thirdly, we will also propose adaptation strategy guidelines and relevant adaptation measures database for public use. With these instruments, our government will communicate more and coordinate more with various groups, enabling Taiwan to move smoothly toward our goal of achieving net zero by 2050. Thank you very much.